If you're an old-school slasher horror fan like me, then it doesn't get much better than the Halloween franchise. John Carpenter started things off with a low-budget horror flick premised around a suburban neighborhood on Halloween, and it went on to become a massive hit. It soon transformed into a bulky franchise, and even though the storylines kept contradicting each other, the charm of the psychotic serial killer Michael Myers remained the same. Now that it's been over 4 decades, and we are so deep into the franchise, there are still some burning, open-ended questions that have triggered fan debates. In this video, I'll try to dive into some of these unanswered questions from the movies, and I would love you to join the discussion in the comments below. What is the true motivation and power behind Michael Myers' actions and abilities? While there are some obvious questions among the fans regarding certain events and cliffhanger endings in the franchise, one of the most enduring and ambiguous mysteries is actually centered around the true motivation of Michael Myers. In the original film by John Carpenter, he is portrayed as a child who murders his sister Judith for no apparent reason, and this lack of motive is what makes him so evil and unpredictable. The director purposely avoided giving him a backstory because this added to his mysterious aura that is terrifying because it cannot be understood. Over the years, as the sequels and reboots piled up, there have been differing interpretations, but I still haven't found a definitive answer. There are some who believe that his actions are actually driven by an urge to recreate the events of his first murder. Even after spending 15 years in a catatonic state, he returns to Hadenfield and seems obsessed about reliving the night. His fixation on Laurie Strode further highlights his thrill to recapture his childhood crime. I also feel that Michael Myers is not just motivated by the act of killing, but the process that leads up to it. This is why he toys with his victims and enjoys a sadistic thrill as they run scared and clueless. The simplest explanation behind his real motivation and the source behind all his superhuman abilities is that he is a character that has been created to be an embodiment of pure evil. He doesn't kill for any rational goal, but simply because he is evil and he loves to unleash chaos.
I'm gonna cut that mask right off your face.
What does Michael Myers look like under his mask? Michael Myers is a masked terror, and it actually helps that we don't really get a clear look at his face across the franchise. Yes, there have been a few occasions when his face under the mask has been revealed ever so slightly, but even that appearance varies with each movie. Mostly, there is a conscious effort by the makers to keep his face shadowed or out of focus to add to the mysterious aura around him. In the first Halloween movie, Michael is unmasked once and shown to be a young boy with a vacant and emotionless stare. This look basically emphasizes his soulless nature, and it's quite an effective portrayal of the heartless killer. The adult unmasking takes place at the end, and this was played by Tony Moran. Even here, he was shown pale and expressionless, and there was not much detailing available. In Halloween 5, his face was shown briefly in darkness, and the focus was on his eyes as he cried, and this was probably an attempt to add an emotional layer to things. The more detailed features can be seen in Rob Zombie's 2007 and 2009 remakes, where an adult Michael Myers, played by Tyler Mane, is shown with scarred features. He even speaks briefly in the director's cut. Finally, the David Gordon Green trilogy has offered enough teasers of his face, and I expected to see more in Halloween Ends. But all we get is a clear side profile that shows a scarred man with gray hair, and there's nothing dramatically distinctive about this look. The trilogy largely keeps the face hidden or in shadow, and the only explanation that makes sense is that he is so hideously ugly at this point that his face is not even watchable. Does Michael Myers have supernatural powers? I did point out at the beginning of this video that Michael Myers has a storyline and lore that have been contradicted across the franchise. It is the same for the nature of his powers and abilities as well. He is portrayed as someone with supernatural powers in the original Halloween timeline, and the explanation behind his abilities can be found in the Curse of Thorn, which is a druidic curse placed on him as a child. This possesses him with a demonic force that drives him to kill his family on Halloween night. It also grants him some kind of immortality and gives him his superhuman resilience that allows him to sustain fatal injuries that would kill regular humans. In the movie Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, this curse is the source of his unstoppable nature, and it makes him more than just a psychotic serial killer. He is an invincible embodiment of evil, and this explains his ability to regenerate and withstand the crazy blows and bullets to him. His killing spree is simply his way of fulfilling the curse. While it would be easy to term him as someone with supernatural powers, the more recent interpretation in Halloween Ends speaks otherwise. Here, Michael Myers is portrayed as a human who is slowly dying and aging. His supernatural aura is still intact in the eyes of the citizens, but there is an ambiguity that cannot be ignored. Overall, if we simply go by all his impossible feats and his crazy ability to withstand the most severe damages, it only adds up to the fact that he does possess certain superpowers.
Get away from him! But he stopped breathing! No!
Why are the cops in Halloween so incompetent? It's not uncommon to find incompetent cops in horror and thriller movies, but the ones in the Halloween franchise steal the show as the frontrunners. Back in 1978, when the first Halloween movie was released, the cops were not the finest in the business. In fact, Frank Hawkins had terrible aim, even when he aimed up close at Michael's home. Moreover, he stops Loomis when he is about to shoot Michael, even after Michael helped kill his partner. Surely the police should have overridden protocols at this point and taken him down with all the force available. Halloween Kills only adds to these loopholes, and the police incompetence goes up a notch. After killing the mob a few streets away, Michael Myers sneaks back inside his house to kill Karen. However, the problem is that it's already a murder scene and has been cordoned off. There are several cops around guarding the place, and he still sneaks into the house without anybody noticing. Also, it's quite unprofessional and complacent of them to not accompany Karen, as she's exploring the crime scene with so many bodies around. Nevertheless, all this just goes on to suggest that Michael Myers is far too smart and wily to be taken down by regular cops. Why did Michael go into hiding after Halloween Kills? Like most other mysterious horror villains, Michael Myers is known to spring up a surprise with his random appearances out of thin air. He disappears in a flash, and his disappearing acts can get to you even if you try to keep your eyes on it. However, it is somewhat strange that Michael Myers just disappears from Hadenfield without a trace after the events of Halloween Kills. This is all the more baffling because there was really nothing to stop him, and he was killing people as he pleased on the streets of Hadenfield. He even got to kill Karen at the end of the film, and it was not too difficult for him to finish off Lorie if he wanted to. I mean, he did know that Lorie was still out there, and given how much he wants to kill her, it would have been fair to see him have a proper go at her. In fact, I even feel like he had a better chance against her then, but the fact that he left things unfinished didn't really add up. Maybe it was just a ploy to extend the franchise and give them a final dance in Halloween Ends. It's also not very clear why Michael Myers has been living in the sewers of Hadenfield for the last 4 years. It's revealed in Halloween Ends that he's been hiding out in the sewers, but the reason behind this strange, specific location is never explained. Yes, his house was destroyed after the events of Halloween Kills, but he could have just fled the town. My guess would be that he never gave up on his drive to kill Lorie, and he decided to stay put, killing every now and then to recharge himself. The choice of living in the sewer might be simply to avoid detection, but it would have been nice if they revealed his original plans instead of dwelling so hard on his disappearance. What is the deal with Halloween Ends and Lorie not destroying the mask? Blumhouse Productions and David Gordon Green ended their modern Halloween trilogy with Halloween Ends, and Laurie Strode clashed with Michael Myers for a final time in a bloody and brutal fight for survival. As she grinds Michael to a pulp and does everything in her power to finally kill him, there are still some questions that haven't been answered in the movie. For instance, in the final shot of Halloween Ends, the camera moves across Laurie's house, and Michael's infamous infamous mask can be seen. This particular scene made me wonder why she wouldn't destroy the mask when she had the mental strength to kick Michael's body into the grinder. As we all know by now, Michael's mask is more like a symbol of fear that he has spread across Hadenfield, and it's an integral part of his identity. If I was the one to kill Michael, I would burn his mask as the first thing after that. I can't imagine destroying something so evil and then keeping the item that symbolizes him as a memento. There is a possibility that she wanted the mask as an inspiration to finish the book that she was working on throughout the film, or maybe she just wanted it to remind her of the horrors that she has endured. However, the most important reason behind keeping the mask can be something greater than the story potential. It could be a subtle hint that Michael might be gone, but his mask lives on, and somebody in the future might just pick the mask up and continue the reign of terror through another killing spree. I was honestly a bit surprised to see them kill Michael Myers decisively in Halloween Ends, and it simply doesn't add up why they would leave the mask behind unless they want to keep room for a future project. As pointed out by the Blumhouse CEO Jason Blum, I didn't say it's going to be the last Halloween movie, it is our last Halloween movie. I have to say it's quite considerate of them to keep the door open for a sequel, even though they don't have the rights to Halloween anymore.
Mr. Riddle was watching you, Lorie. Mr. Riddle is 87. You can still watch.
How did Michael Myers learn how to drive? This is one of the classic unanswered questions from the franchise, even though it might not have crossed your mind. Michael Myers is someone who has been institutionalized since childhood, and as Dr. Loomis points out in the first movie, someone must have taught him when it comes to his driving skills. It was a subject so intriguing for Adam Green that he even went back and created a short film out of it in the form of a fake deleted scene. However, the answer might be hidden away if you dig deep enough. There was actually a line in the original draft of Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers, where Dr. Wynn, the man who points out that Michael doesn't know how to drive in the first movie, mentions that he taught Michael how to drive. I'll go with the most honest answer here, which is that he can drive only because the script requires him to drive, and there's no real logical explanation behind this. Was Corey Cunningham born evil, or did Michael Myers turn him into a psycho killer? As you all know, Halloween Ends announces the evolution of yet another psychotic killer in the form of Corey Cunningham. He is shown to have changed from a regular fellow into a vicious serial killer. Now, there are many theories on his transformation, including a few from the characters in the film as well. Some characters theorize that something supernatural is at work behind Corey's crimes, and Lorie even suggests that he has Michael's eyes. However, I'm of the opinion that Corey had a hidden violent personality of his own, much like some of the most notorious real-life serial killers. His first kill was actually an accident when he kills a kid he's babysitting in the opening scene of the film. Much like the theme of the franchise, the town of Hadenfield pushes him further into the darkness of a criminal mind, and many of the citizens dub him as a child murderer. These allegations may have taken their toll on, and they might have been the push factor that he needed to go over to his dark side. While Michael Myers is truly despicable, and so are his crimes, he probably is not the mastermind behind turning Corey Cunningham into a killer. And I think the onus lies on Hadenfield and its citizens. Do Lorie and Frank end up together in Halloween Ends? Surely you haven't forgotten about Frank Hawkins, the police officer who responds to the Michael Myers murders in the original movie. The reboot trilogy has a constant story arc where Laurie Strode develops a relationship with Frank, even though this relationship is constantly interrupted by Michael Myers. He prevents her from settling down in any way, but she still spends an awful amount of time with Frank in the movie Halloween Kills. As for the final entry in the trilogy, Halloween Ends gives them the happy ending that they deserve. Here, the movie ends with a few shots of Laurie's house and also a shot of Lorie and Frank sitting on her front porch. It's not clearly laid out, but there is an obvious hint that they will end up together in a relationship that has been teased since the beginning of the trilogy. I mean, you can't expect a horror flick like Halloween to lay it out more evidently, can you? Is it finally peacetime in Hadenfield after Michael Myers' death? The final movie in the reboot trilogy, Halloween Ends, begins with a harrowing image of the town of Hadenfield. It has been completely battered and broken, and several of the citizens have been killed. Moreover, the terror of Michael Myers has subdued the town, and there is widespread distrust and crime. But the movie does end with the death of Michael Myers, which might just indicate a change in the fortunes for Hadenfield. Most of the townsmen show up to see Michael's corpse corpse for themselves as it gets shredded at the junkyard, and it seems as though Lorie has finally put the curse to rest by killing the unstoppable killer. I assume that she will now be allowed to live a peaceful life in Hadenfield, and the people will be more sympathetic toward her, especially because many accused her for Michael's return. However, if the storyline is revisited in a future sequel, the peacetime in Hadenfield might be rather limited, and it's quite easy to find a way to bring back another psycho killer in the mix of things. Even Michael Myers, if the story wants to explore a funny loophole in his supernatural existence. We all know that with such franchises, a reboot or a spin-off or a sequel are never too far off. Marvelous verdict, an immortal franchise that deserves to be preserved. I started off this video by saying that the Halloween franchise is one of a kind, and I'll end it by reiterating my statement, even with all these seemingly unanswered questions. Such open-ended questions are bound to be there in any long-running franchise, and it only adds to the mysterious nature of the overall narrative. More importantly, it keeps the interest in the fans alive even after all these decades. Also, the new movies were not completely disappointing, even though they had their fair share of flaws. This gives me hope that the franchise can be extended further and properly in the right hands. And we all know that the Halloween series deserves to be preserved because of its sheer legacy. Do let me know in the comments below what you think of all these open-ended, burning questions from the franchise. And also tell us whether or not you'd like to see another Halloween movie in the future.